Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. So buggy is a word that we've been talking about a lot lately with iOS 13 updates happening every couple of days. And today we got a fresh report sort of highlighting Apple's internal process previously, how we sort of got to iOS 13, and also what they're planning to do in the future, which is actually fascinating. And I think it's going to lead to hopefully more quality features in iOS rather than just quantity, and then we end up where we need bug fixes every few days. So I want to break down this report and talk about some iOS 14 rumors because we've got some good information to either recap from the past or highlight from this. So if you guys are excited for this video, drop a like down below, hit subscribe for more, and let's go ahead and talk about the future of iOS. iOS 14 and iOS 15. As soon as I saw this article, it immediately reminded me of a video I made years ago on YouTube, and I want to play you this very cringy clip of me talking back then just to give you an idea of what Apple was saying then.
So based on this new rumor, Apple is said to have heard the public's feedback, because in iOS 9, Apple is supposed to be focusing on stability improvements over new features for this major iOS release.
So that clip is almost 5 years old, and I'm telling you guys, it seems like the same script. I feel like we heard this right before iOS 12, that Apple would focus on stability rather than new features. And iOS 12 was actually pretty well executed. There weren't a breadth of features or changes. It was mainly just to speed up your iPhone a little bit, which I actually appreciated a lot. But with iOS 13, Apple definitely took a huge step in a new direction, and then there were a lot of bugs along the way. And to prevent that from happening again in the future, here's what Apple's plans are according to Bloomberg. Historically, here's how it's worked. They've had a ton of features enabled at the same time. It was so conflated that they couldn't actually decipher what was going on. So they'd sort of just work feature by feature until they hopefully figured it out. Going forward, whether you're on macOS, watchOS, tvOS, or iOS, there's now going to be a space in settings on each of those respective platforms to enable the features individually. So it's actually kind of funny how things worked historically. I wasn't aware of the level of confusion that I guess was happening at Apple on a daily basis if you were an iOS tester. Apple would pack so many features into one, like called a daily build of iOS 13, say. Let's say dark mode, the swipe keyboard, and new emojis were all put on there at the same time. And then that person would be running into bugs potentially caused by all three features, but not easily be able to track down exactly what feature was causing which bug. So you'd sort of just work away at each feature until hopefully all the bugs went away while still experiencing bugs from other features. Seems like a very inefficient way to do things, so that's why Apple has reflected on this. Apple's Craig Federighi had a sort of an all-hands-on meeting and said, we're actually going to do it a new way now. And the good news for us is that this isn't years away. This is not going to happen in the foreseeable future, like, maybe 20, 30 years from now. This is going to happen starting with iOS 14, and iOS 13.4 is in the works, and it possibly might be applied to that as well. There's a couple good tidbits, that being that iOS 13.4, planned for sometime next year, is on the way. No idea what feature set it will have, but there is definitely going to be another major iOS 13 update after iOS 13.3, which is currently in beta. And secondly, that Apple is continuing the major yearly iOS updates. I saw some speculation a few months back saying that with the state of iOS 13, maybe everything is just rolled out on a regular basis. Like we start going to 13.5 or 13.8, and then we only do a major iOS update every couple of years, but Apple seemingly as of right now still plans to do some major updates. Now iOS 15 is a total toss-up. I have no idea what's going to be changing there, but Bloomberg historically has actually shared a couple of very small details about what to expect changing in iOS 14. And that's because iOS 14 isn't years away now or over a year away. It's going to be coming our way in beta form in June of this year at WWDC 2020 in just about 7 or so months. First up here is 5G support. Apple's obviously working on this for the 2020 iPhone 12 or iPhone 11s, and if they're going to have it hardware-wise, they have to have a way to support that same functionality on the software side of things, so iOS 14 will include that. Second, this will also probably be exclusive to the 2020 iPhone, but enhanced AR functionality, which again, like that last clip, I feel like is something I've been talking about since iOS 11, every single year. Enhanced AR functionality, enhanced AR stuff. And I get that Apple is working on a pair of augmented reality glasses and an AR headset before that. Some of you can strap on your head and look around and augment your environment, but for the end user, I don't know many people that have ever touched AR. I mean, some applications are cool. I know Warby Parker will let you try on like glasses in augmented reality. That's pretty cool. That is a nice application. If you're shopping on IKEA's website, sometimes you'll get like a little AR pop-up, but it still doesn't seem to have this wide application that Apple is promising. And I know that it does have some promise for the future. It's just that we've heard AR functionality improvements every year, and I've not really seen the end result of that. But let me know if you guys feel differently down below in the comments section. Finally, something that was rumored for iOS 13 that Apple never actually did, that Bloomberg reported, was a new app switcher or app close animation. It's largely remained the same. I think it changed just a little bit in one of the recent iOS 13 updates, but I don't know, I'm looking for something cool, something fresh, you know? And I'm hoping that iOS 14 is that fresh experience, because Bloomberg has said that while Apple is certainly focusing on stability, it doesn't appear right now, at least, that this is going to be an iOS 12 repeat where your iPhone gets faster but features are sort of placed behind performance. Bloomberg says that Apple plans the same breadth of features right now, meaning the same number of new stuff as iOS 13. But on top of that, they're going to also be making sure that the features aren't super buggy when they launch. That being said, the internal name for iOS 15 is Azul Plus One, with the codename for iOS 14 being Azul. It looks like Apple could already be planning to push back some key features for iOS 14 until iOS 15 to again promise us performance. So maybe this is the year, maybe it's not. So if Apple's gonna be able to pull that off, I hope they will, because that would make the experience really great for us. But I do know that we've been talking about this for almost 5 years now, and sometimes it pans out, but when it does, it seems like we barely get any new features, which is sort of the cost that we may have to pay for a good overall experience rather than a ton of new stuff to show our friends. And I don't know who's right. Should we get stability and no new features, or features and no stability, or is 2020 and iOS 14 the year that we actually see both walk hand in hand and everybody hugs and everybody's happy? You guys let me know down below, and that's all I've got for you in this video. The future for iOS is looking bright. iOS 13 was a bit of a hiccup, but I say that and I haven't had a bad experience with iOS 13. I see reports and I cover these updates all the time. The only issue that I still have that I think needs improvement is Bluetooth, but aside from that, I've had a pretty good time on iOS 13, and I was willing to take new features like dark mode in return for a buggy mail app at the very start. That's all I've got for you guys in this video. Drop a like if you enjoyed it, hit subscribe for more. I gotta run to class right now, and I will catch all of you in my next video.